My name is Stephen Matthew. I'm a partner at the law firm Nabarro, and I'm here with my colleague Stephanie McDonald.
Well, I tell you what, let's just help the thing. I mean, let's suppose that the service problem is that the waste processing plant usually has a chimney. Let's assume the chimney's got something wrong with it, and they haven't been able to fix it. So they've not been able to process the rubbish because this chimney needs some money spending on it. For whatever reason, they haven't fixed it. Let's just think about that, because I know what you're driving at. There is a cost to put it right, isn't there?
What is this responsibility of the Development Bank of South Africa?
It might be. Yeah, so it could be pure equity, which might be the Development Bank of South Africa, or it might be an infrastructure fund who provide private equity for these sorts of projects, or, and this is most common,
it could well be that we revert back to the lenders, give them an opportunity to rescue either with this contractor or another one that they might be able to find. Give them the right to at least try and rescue it, give them a chance to get their money back.
Going round the room, I have to say, Stephanie and I have been absolutely amazed by the debate that we've been listening to. It's been so rewarding for us listening to you.
I think the understanding is this is a partnership. Everybody comes into it with objectives and their rewards and their risks. So if the private sector is taking on the risks, it should be rewarded.
In our group, we agreed with the principle that if the authority is taking certain risks at the beginning of the project, by taking on those risks, they have contributed to the success of the project, and therefore they should share in the premium.
When the government enters into a partnership with the private sector, they're looking for someone who runs the project throughout the whole concession. So it's really a long-term agreement. And ideally, the government wants this partner to stay in till the end of the concession. So this might be actually a good way to disincentivize partners that are looking for short-term profits.
For now, let me introduce our final speaker, Angela Nalika. She's the Acting Manager, Private Infrastructure Finance and PPPs for African Development Bank. Angela is an expert in identifying infrastructure projects, appraising, structuring, and negotiating investment opportunities. And she has over 15 years' experience in structuring and arranging finance across diverse infrastructure projects in Africa. Her specialist areas are project finance and arranging term capital for businesses across a wide range of infrastructure sectors, including power, ICT, railways, roads, water, and oil and gas.
Of our view on PPPs in Africa, we'll take a snapshot of ADB, how ADB is organized, to set the context. We'll mention what ADB brings to the table, and we'll finally come up with a typical PPP example where we've used a number of instruments to make it happen. Okay, our overriding reason for doing any transaction in the African Development Bank is poverty reduction.
Could you provide me with an overview of the Africa PPP Conference 2013?
Yes, the Africa Public-Private Partnership 2013 is now in its 5th year, taking place in this beautiful surroundings of Sandton, Johannesburg, South Africa. We've just had the first day of training, pre-conference training, which is a CPD, Continuous Professional Development Certified training course. That's covering the project management essentials, advanced project management essentials for PPPs. Very well attended. It went extremely well. So yeah, it's been really a very good start for the 5th edition.
What do you think are the top 3 qualities of a successful PPP?
Well, from my point of view, it's about risk management and risk transfer. So the first and most important thing is to understand the risk, to price it, and to be able to allocate it in the best possible way. The second thing is to create the competitive tension that enables the government and the private sector bidder to come up with a deal that delivers value for money and works for both parties. And the third aspect is to make sure that the PPP is actually going to deliver what the users need, with the citizens and the people who will use the infrastructure and the PPPs.
What have you found to be common sticking points in implementing PPPs in Africa?
Well, the biggest sticking point to my mind is the capacity gap. It's now very clear to most governments on the continent that the budgets cannot stretch any further to cover infrastructure development. They need to work with the private sector. However, the private sector is this big unknown. They are usually associated with higher returns. And on the other side, you have mostly low-income population that cannot afford the basic services. So the government is faced with the challenge of meeting both expectations.
In what way do you think that PPPs are specifically well suited to Africa?
They are very well suited for Africa. PPPs provide a framework for which things are done. And Africa needs rigid frameworks to give investors a sense of comfort that these things will be done as described or as agreed to. So PPPs provide that framework. You can't do a PPP without a true legal framework that supports the agreements around the PPP.
And your department won quite a prestigious award last year. Would you be able to tell me a little bit about it?
Well, I was quite surprised when we were just called and said we had won an award and we had to come and pick it up for undertaking institutional processes in Ghana. I think we've done quite a lot. We've tried to put together the policy. We've tried to get most of the stakeholders involved. We went through a very rigorous system of getting both the private sector and the public sector together, and even organize other stakeholder consultations with the media, trying to get the media on board, because one of the problems we identified was that the media didn't really understand what PPPs were about and were always misinforming the public. So I think it's basically the institutional and regulatory processes that we put together to ensure that we had a sustainable PPP program in Ghana that made us win that award.
Amy Trade asked the participants how has been their experience from Africa PPP conference in Johannesburg.
The experience has exceeded all expectations, both in terms of the knowledge that I was able to obtain from this session, as well as the networking experience that we were able to encounter.
What I can tell you is that over time, I've attended various business conferences, like the one in Perth, Africa Down Under, like the Indaba in Cape Town, and so on. I must say, so far, I've found that this is the most interesting.
We do deal with PPP projects at the DBSA. However, the course and the presentations have been more informative and a confirmation to what we are currently doing.
For me, I work for Department of Environmental Affairs in Malawi in the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change Management. My main interest is in waste management. So here I have learned quite a lot. We can actually use PPPs to come up with the infrastructure projects in waste management.
So I think it's a must attend every year for anybody that's serious about PPPs here, because you get to meet the right people.
I've got a group of 16 that I'm managing here at the conference who have spent the last 5 weeks with doing some intensive PPP training.
Then because of the experience I had in Kenya, I called Amy Trade to find out where the next PPP would be. And then I also intend to work with the Ministry of Finance to share my knowledge on the PPP law that is about to be enacted in Ghana.